Well, hello there. I figured I would show you all the upgrades that I've made to the topper. My homemade topper has changed drastically since I first made it. Originally it was made in multiple pieces. And some of that is because of financial reasons. It was cheaper to ship the HDP siding if I broke it up into small pieces. And I wasn't sure I was going to keep the topper, and I wasn't sure if it was going to be the durable substance I wanted it to be. And I wasn't sure where I was going to position things on the topper. So everything was going to be static, and so I just kind of pieced together, moved it around, and over a couple of years, I came up with, okay, it's time. Actually, I had it on almost 3 years before I decided I'm redoing it. So my first thought was to now get the HDP in one big sheet and cut it into identical pieces, so each part of the topper would be one complete piece. So that's what I've kind of ended up now. There was a couple other things I'll show you as they go along. So since building the new topper, you'll notice now this is one piece. Before there was a separate piece here, a separate piece here, there was a piece cut here, there was a piece cut there, because originally I had made the line rigid when I made the first topper, and I just found this looks better. It looks better than any of the aftermarket ones that have just the straight line there. To have this angle here matching the truck angle just looked a lot better. So I had pieced in this piece on the other ones. I hadn't figured out my top ridge. I had shoved these up inside a channel bar, like a cabinet, making metal. This stuff. My corners were made out of this. So it would slide up into here and sandwich each side, and the piece of HDP would go in there, the top and the edges. Here's what I found out. That didn't work all that effectively because of what happens in the cold and the heat. I found that corner, sometimes one would pull out or not work right. So my new design was what this is. It's just angle iron. This is actually aluminum. It's just angled and drilled. And so if there is any slippage that happens, that top corner stays sealed no matter what. So rather than complicating it and try to slip things in, now it's just sealed. The other thing is the lights that I had on here, the different lights I had. You can see the angle. This is designed so that anything that's mounted on the side stays behind the mirrors. So when I'm on a trail, I don't have things sticking way out that are going to get hit. So the problem with those lights is getting the right angle to get light down where I wanted it. I found these just on Amazon, and so I replaced my old lights with these. The old lights, I had to actually cut a square in the topper, which then you have more area for leaking and more area for problems. The new one just has a hole drilled where the wires go through. This is already cut to an angle, and these lights shine the light all right where it needs to be. A couple other things that just made sense to me is on the old topper I had fuel on both sides. On the new topper, this is my 2-gallon water container. It goes here, and my shovel goes here, and this door is now strutted, and it opens and holds itself open where it didn't. I had to latch it up. I got struts for it. The back wasn't HDP. Before I just left some aluminum sheeting, and now this is 3 little pieces. I couldn't get it into one piece with what I had left over, but I got it into 3 pieces. It's all HDP now as well. Which the aluminum's still behind it. So I just put the glue over it, sealed the thing down, and put some screws in it, and it actually is super tight, and it looks now a lot smoother and where it belongs. The other thing I've noticed, I used to carry the ladder out here. I have now, the ladder slides up here, the foot goes into this bracket up here. against here, and it goes across here, and this fist goes around the top portion of it, and that ladder doesn't move. And I really, really, really want to use that space between the tent and the topper to store things. So it is now where the ladder goes when I put it on. A lot of you know I've avoided getting an awning, and I've boasted about my poor man's awning a number of times, mostly because I don't want the awning hanging out over the side. I can't tell you how many times my truck is within inches of trees on the trails in Montana. They just aren't cut for wide trucks.
Oh yeah.
And my awning, if I would have had an awning, would have been tore off or destroyed. It wouldn't have fit on the trails. So my poor man awning consists of these. They're adjustable poles. I take the poles and I take a tarp, and you'll see I have these loops on here. I fasten, and I can fasten, and I can fasten, and I can put out a tarp wherever I want. I can tie it to a tree. I can use a couple of poles. I can put it on either side, and it really works. It's tall enough. It can be moved to either side. It's super cheap. What do I do with the poles? They get stored right here. So all my space up on top now is being used on this side with the ladder and the poles. Just one little pocket here that's not used, and I'll figure that out one of these days. So then, if we go to the other side, this is now where all the fuel goes. It's also now in one piece. Up above, this container opens, and it serves all halfway across the topper now is all open. So I actually put my table in there. I can put some chairs in there with the table. I can put the tarp in there with the table. I have enough space up in there between the tent now and the roof to just put some things in there. And this is held with brackets that are screwed into this metal on the top. Doesn't make any noise, doesn't do nothing. Again, same type of light. Again, this is where the regular fuel goes. This is where the diesel fuel goes. And this is the other end of where the poles go. This is just a drawer that I had extra. I put it there. I figure I might put ties in there for the tarp. I haven't really figured out what I'm going to use it for, but I had the drawer, so I figured, well, I can use that. And this is still, this is where the heat comes from the diesel heater that goes into the truck. The exhaust for the diesel heater is right here. We'll talk about that a little bit when we go inside. This also now is all one piece, and so that's some of the stuff that changed on the outside of this topper, if you're wondering why it looks different. Still using the same old 1970s window with the spring-loaded jacks, but I got some new stuff I'm doing in here that I'll show you. Alright, inside I decided to get one of these T-mat. If you're not familiar with these, you know, it can be slid in and out. It just sits on top, and I like all of my stuff to be portable that goes in here. Everything in here I can take out if I want to use it as a truck. So that's one of the things that I've always tried to do. Now, what else did I change? On the inside here, these are still held in with clamps, but the front corner each has a bolt now, and this used to have a lip that came out, and I folded that lip down. It now wraps the side of the truck. So besides the screw and the clamps holding it down, it actually, the aluminum folds, I folded it down so it actually fits exactly to the side of the truck. There's absolutely no way it moves. I'm still using my cheap lighting Answers, 3 years, and I haven't changed the batteries in them yet. But these work great because I don't have to worry about, I can come back here, turn them off, on, whatever. I can leave them on all night, do whatever I want to do, and those sort of lights are handy in that they won't drain my battery dead even if I forget about them, even if they get left on all day. The inside, as always, I have my axe above that door. I can open that window and grab the axe. I have a hammer. I have the tools for taking the tent off are in there. I keep some garbage bags here. This back corner here is where I put the jackery. The holes in that were threaded in for the bed. It's attached on that side, and this is just using a stock hole into the side of the bed. And those are actually under the T-mat. The T-mat goes under it, so until there's weight in them, they actually don't sit on the T-mat. Now, I repainted my diesel heater so it matches the truck a little bit. I also changed the fuel tank lid. The new one doesn't leak, the old one did. And I got rid of the 8 kilowatt heater that I had, and I put in a 2 because the 8 would boil me. This is also the new heater, and this heater I can control by remote control from inside of the tent. So I can turn it off, turn it on. I can set the temperature inside the tent. The remote control will take the temperature and turn the thing off automatically while I'm sleeping. That's all better than what I had, because what I had to do before is I had to take the hose and disconnect it from the tent and hang it out the other side of the vehicle so that it was boiling hot. It was only 5 degrees and it was cold like it is today, but I was so hot up there I couldn't even hardly breathe. I was leaving the one side of the tent entirely open to get some of the heat out of there. And so then in the middle of the night, I started taking the hose off and just throwing it out the side of the tent so that I could stomach the temperature. On this side, this black bag here, that's where all the internal stuff goes that attaches for the heater. So it's all next to the heater there. I can zip that open and get it. I have my high left jack. It's mounted between the hard bars. I have a snow shovel. On the outside, I have a regular shovel. I have my traction boards mounted to the roof. I have a fishing pole holder. Then all of these MOLLE panels all have different recovery equipment, bungee cords, different things in them. Another shovel. So we use all the space in here as much as possible to keep it to the sides. That leaves me a big area in here that's open. That's where the T-mat comes in. A lot of you know I used a big ARB. It's over here hidden right now. This giant metal ARB thing. I'm going to sell that. For one, it's like 90 pounds. It's very heavy to move. And I had it set up so it would latch into the sides. Instead, I'm going to try this next year. These. So now this in one piece will sit in there and lock, and instead of locking to the side, you put the T-mat feet on, you measure that all out carefully. This sits down into the T-mat and locks into that mat right here. So I'll have that. I'll show you when I'm done. I'll have that sitting here, and I'll have all my kitchen back here yet. I like to keep my kitchen here. The other thing I did is I had a bunch of wood boxes that I had built that I used for my kitchen stuff. Well, I cut away half of that weight, and now I've built it like this. So the things that were important to me to keep accessible near the back of the truck were the fridge, my water for cooking, and I kept my propane bottles in a secure spot where they can't get out. And my seasonings and stuff like that are here, and the other drawer is next to it. I can throw my stove, my plates, my paper towels in the top here, and they're accessible because they'll be sitting right there. I'll show you when I put it together here. And then here I keep my food and my utensils in the top drawer. And so all of this, when it's set up, it's all at my fingertips. The other thing is the way the cooler opened before, it was locked in place against the side. Now the cooler's locked to this. This has the T-mat feet on it. And now I can slide the cooler back and have full access from the tailgate. This will slide out over the tailgate when I want to do it. The other thing is the water was always an issue, getting it positioned right. So I made this so it fits exact now because it's not in the truck. But my water now sits right there. So when I'm cooking, I have my spout right here. Got my 5 gallons of water. It's all locked in, can't move anywhere. All this is locked in. This is side by side with that, so it doesn't move side to side at the back of the truck. And when I want to take it out, I just move a couple of the T-mat fittings. There's going to be one on the back holding this whole thing in place. It has the 4 feet that you screw on that lock it down into the thing. And as you can see, this can be moved around. If you're not familiar with T-mat, you can move this anywhere on here to lock down any sort of load. And there's these type of locks, which those are, I think when you buy a kit, you come with 2 of those. They just lock anywhere. Oh, and you get 2 of these, which are corner locks. These are those other locks, and you get 2 of these. These are nice because when you lock them down, maybe something that doesn't fit exactly square to where you want to be locked. You just pull it out and lock it in place. So you can use this to put pressure on a new location when you're doing it. You almost need 2 hands, but not quite. So this becomes very flexible for all of that space back there that's open. Just be able to snap it in place and not worry about it, like my water system and other things that I've built. There's my water pump system and the filters. 2 T-mat feet on it. I can set it down right behind this thing here, and it's locked in place, and I can fill my water tank from there, from a creek or whatever. Take the hoses from it, throw it out the side window, and it has the clear water hose can go right into the top of my water tank. I can fill my water tank when I'm driving over a creek or anything like that. I could just stop and fill it if I'm low on water that day. Again, this has 4 feet on the bottom of it that are now locked into the T-mat, so it can't go anywhere. This has 4 feet on it. They're now locked in there. I got my drawers back here, just like I did with my ARB drawer. 2 of them, like I said, I could put paper towels or different things up in here, and it's easily accessible when I'm cooking. My cutting board is just real simple. It's held in with that little screw in that hole. I have my water in place. My propane tanks fit tight under here. I could put 4 of them in there. I told you I had a little shelf. Don't have it set up exactly the way I will, but this shelf fits right up next to the propane tanks, right in here. I can slide it out, have access to whatever's in here. That little drawer, spices go in there, and salt and pepper, and different things. This is great for paper towels. I'm not sure yet on this if I'm going to cut it out a little bit so that it's not as tight getting things around up the top. I might cut this down a little bit from here and follow this line around, use the jigsaw, and just get me a little hand in there. And then I'll show you from the back what I'm talking about. So the T-mat has structures like this that you can put in behind these locations to lock things down and keep them from sliding. So this gives me from the side, I already keep my bathroom. I have a full-size bathroom awning that fits in there, and my toilet fits in there. It's a folding toilet that locks up. So I put that stuff right there. It's accessible. Like I said, the jackery goes right here. I have a little stand and a shelf for the charger that goes right here. All the wiring goes here. The water pump I can mount anywhere in here that I want. It has a couple of feet. Just lock it down. But it gives me a lot of space for other bags, other things that I can just reach through this side door to access. So that's the way it looks with some of those things in place. We'll actually get to try it out here in a little bit. We'll go camping and do the stuff that we do with it, go fishing, go 4-wheel driving. Be sure all this stuff stays in here when you're 4-wheel driving. I mean, so far I can pretty much shake the whole truck with it, so I think the T-mat will hold it. I think there's weight limits on each one of these. You shouldn't try to hold more than 75 pounds, I think it says, with each one of these as far as shifting or anything in the floor. So what I did on my topper is I built that wind scoop on the front to deflect the air around from it, and I think it does actually help miles per gallon and stuff a little bit, maybe 1 mile to gallon different. Just putting that on there and so the wind isn't catching under the tent, instead it's going over the top of it. So yeah, I just took metal that I had here and mounted it into the stock brackets that came with it. Got the angle just the way I wanted it. I have to decide if I want to do something with that space up there. I was thinking that might be a good place to put a tube of hot water or something in there. So as I develop different ideas, who knows? I'm excited to try it out, see how it works on the trail. Like I said, what if the T-mat gets dirty? I showed you how easy it is. You just slide it out, tip it over sideways, and wash it off with a hose. It's not attached to the bed, so this whole thing comes out. As far as trimming it, you do have to do some trimming when you get it. Like you see, I trimmed it for my diesel with the T-mat, at least in the way it sets up. Now how it works in the real world, that will be the test. I will take this out and in real world test it and see if it holds up to a year's worth of abuse. I got a lot of trips planned this summer, but if it stays like it is and it's in this position, and I mean, this is ideal for me. I can pull all this stuff out so quick, and this is the way I want my setup to be, you know. So that's the one thing that's kind of tricky on the feet. It's getting your measurements exact and getting them so that when you set them in here, they just easily slip right into the mat. And one of the things I found the first time I tried to do it was on the box, and those were all measured with a ruler. And I found it very difficult to get the exact positioning for those little feet. On the other side, all I did is I put the feet in the holes where I wanted them. I put some glue on them. I set that whole base in on top of it, let it dry, lifted it up, and then screwed them in. And look at that one. It's as flat as can be. Still really happy with it. Wouldn't change it. You couldn't get me to trade this for a smart cap or anything. So my old running tally on it is I had $600 into the whole thing after building it, and that's including the high lift jack. Now with buying the new siding, I probably have about another $300 into it, and buying the T-mat is about $200 for that system. So I've added about another $500 to that. I'm still, say I'm at $1,200. Well, then I bought the door, that was $100. Say I'm at $1,300 or something like that. Plus I've already had 3 years of use on it, and basically it's reset up like new and ready to go again with a new set. So if you're like me and you're trying to find that perfect topper, maybe you just have to build the perfect topper, because you're not going to probably find the perfect topper. Anyhow, I'll have upcoming videos that show you how all of this stuff works when I'm out on the trail. Just figured I'd show you the new stuff I did.